Good day to you. JR here. Today is August the 13th, 2026. It's also my 65th birthday. I'm going to do a funeral escort for Pinecrest Funeral Home. They're located here in Alexander, Arkansas, and we are going to Arkansas State Veterans Cemetery in North Little Rock, Arkansas. And just like always, in the middle of August in Arkansas, we're going to be in 100-degree weather today. I think the high is 102. In fact, today was such a hot day, my front camera overheated in the middle of this funeral procession. And then right at the very end of the funeral procession, it comes back on. So I get half of the front of the funeral procession and then the very end of it. Well, what I'll do is I'll roll up here and I'll kind of sit right here and get a look at the funeral procession and get an idea of how large of a funeral procession we'll be escorting today. As I make my way down to the exit, we will be getting onto Arkansas Highway 5. That's also Stagecoach Road, but we're going to take a left onto Arkansas Highway 5. And what I got to do is I have to ease out here and shut both of these lanes down. Just as soon as I can get a good opening, I'll ease out there. And what I'll do is I will stay here for as long as I can. There is a red light down the road that I have to block. That's going to be Bryant Parkway. And we're going to take a right onto Bryant Parkway. So I have to get down there and block that intersection. Once I see there's only a few cars left in the parking lot, I'll go ahead and take off. I try to indicate to people to stay. And 9 times out of 10 they do, especially when people coming out of the funeral home right there. They really know what's going on, and the big majority of people will stay. Now I'll run up here to Bryant Parkway, and like I said, we're going to take a right onto Bryant Parkway. We're going to run Bryant Parkway all the way down to Raymar Road. And that's just a little loop that'll take us around to I-30 frontage road. Once I get across this bridge right here, I'll pull off into the intersection and block the intersection. We're going to take a left right there onto Raymar Road. And this is a very short little jog, so I will not stay here for very long. Once I get everybody headed down Raymar Road, I'll go ahead and take off, get back up in front of Curtis right there, and run down to I-30 Frontage Road, and I'll be blocking that. I have to block both of those lanes onto I-30 Frontage Road. What I like to do is get a pretty good little jump ahead of the funeral procession. That way I've got plenty of time to make a safe choice on getting into this intersection. Because you got to keep in mind, people run down these frontage roads 50, 60 miles an hour. So I have to really get out here and make sure that I have got everybody's attention, or I'm in a position to where I'll get your attention. The reason I sit in the middle of the road like that is it gives me a either or escape choice. There are people that I have had to roll backwards really fast to get out of their way because they will run past me and they're sitting there straight on their phone or looking at their phone or something. So I've always got to try to give myself some way to escape in case I just have to get out of the way really fast. And to me, that's about the best choice I have because I can go either backwards or forward. Once I get everybody onto the frontage road right here, I'll play catch up. What I'll do is I'll get as far ahead of the funeral procession as I can. I can't ever get up to the front, but I can get into it enough to where I can get over onto the get on ramp and then get onto the interstate and make sure the last few cars get onto the interstate. I gotta really appreciate this big truck right here. He really helped me out. He was really paying attention to what was going on. He actually slowed down and started yielding to the funeral procession, let me get out there and get the last few cars onto the interstate. Now, I don't like hitting the shoulder of the road. Sometimes I have to get over there on the shoulder of the road and run the shoulder of the road just to get by everybody to get back up in front of the funeral procession. The only thing bad about hitting the shoulder of the road is you got to pay attention. I just picked up a couple of nails just not too long ago. I had to put a couple of patches in my tire. So there's always that risk whenever you take that shoulder of the road, so I try not to do that very much. What I'm doing right here is I'm just kind of getting an eyeball on the funeral procession, making sure everybody's together as best they can be. Now we're going to get off onto I-430 North. What I'll do is I'll get over here into the right-hand lane and block that right-hand lane and start getting the funeral procession over into the right-hand lane right there to exit onto I-430 North. Now I got everybody over in the right-hand lane. I'll run back up here and get into the middle of the funeral procession. Right here at the get-on ramp to I-430 North, I will get over into the right-hand lane just as soon as I can do it safely. Now that we're on I-430 North, this is where my front camera's going to overheat at, and I'm going to edit the video right here. Now here we are at the end of I-430. We're getting ready to go across the Arkansas River Bridge, and what I'll do is I'll get over in the right-hand lane, and I'm going to start getting the funeral procession over into the right-hand lane. Now this big truck, I don't know what he's doing over in that far right-hand lane right there, but that is a lane that's only open during rush hour traffic, and it's actually closed right now. It's like 12:30 in the afternoon. Once he saw me, I guess it made him nervous, and he got over, along with his buddy that was following right there. But he's really wanting to get in the middle of my funeral procession really bad. He's back there wiggling around. There you go, big truck. That's the last of them. You can get on over now here pretty soon. He just ain't happy. What I'll do is I'll run back up here and get in front of the funeral procession. There are a couple of get-on ramps that I have to block in between here and where we're going to exit to get on to I-40 East. Now that I've blocked those couple of get-on ramps, I'll run on up here and get ahead of Curtis. I have to get down here to ramp that's coming off of I-40 right there and block that. It's just one lane, and then the funeral procession, they'll get onto I-40 just right there. It's just a real short little jog. And once we get them down here onto I-40 East, we will be taking the Military Drive exit, which is Burns Park exit also. Military Drive runs straight on through Burns Park. Now that we're at Military Drive exit right here, we're going to be taking a left. I'll go up here and I'll block the left-hand lane. Then we're going to take a right onto Charles H. Boyer Drive, and I'll block this. And what we're actually doing is we're kind of just going around the block. If you keep going down Military Drive right here, there's a railroad track down there. And we try to avoid any railroad tracks. That way we don't get held up by a train. So we just kind of go around the block right here. we run this Charles H. Boyer Drive down to Highway 365, which is MacArthur Drive, and we're going to take a left onto MacArthur Drive. I'll run back up here and try to get caught back up with the hearse. I'm going to block this intersection on Highway 365, again, which is MacArthur Drive, and they're going to be taking a left onto MacArthur Drive. Now what we'll do is we'll run MacArthur Drive right here, back down to Military Drive, and take a right onto Military Drive, and I'll block that intersection. We'll run Military Drive up here to Donovan Braley Boulevard and take a right onto Donovan Braley Boulevard. As soon as I get everybody onto Donovan Braley Boulevard, I'll get back up in front of the funeral procession. At the end of Donovan Braley Boulevard here, we'll run into Camp Robinson Road, and we're going to take a right onto Camp Robinson Road. Once I get everybody running down Camp Robinson Road, I'll get back up in front of the funeral procession. I'll get down here at the intersection of Reedmont Road and Camp Robinson Road, and I have to block that intersection right there. We're going to take a left onto Reedmont Road. Once I get everybody heading up Reedmont Road, I can kind of take my time and just ease my way back up to the front of the funeral procession. The next intersection I have to block is West Maryland Avenue, and we're going to take a right onto West Maryland Avenue. Once the last car turns onto West Maryland Avenue right here, I'll follow in behind them. I'll follow them into the cemetery. I'll let Curtis pull into the parking lot. I'll pull in right behind him. We turn off all our lights, and that's the end of our day. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I also appreciate you supporting my YouTube page. I hope you have a great day out there. You take care of yourself.